Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of my colleagues and all of the staff on both sides of the aisle, especially Jack Arriaga from my office, for their hard work and support to get us to this markup of the Dignity in Aging Act. I'm proud to introduce this critical bipartisan reauthorization on behalf of the nearly 11 million seniors who are served by the important programs included in this bill. I'm offering an amendment in the nature of a substitute that contains several bipartisan improvements to the Dignity in Aging Act, including a new National Technical Assistance Center dedicated to expanding the Aging Network's capacity to deliver person-centered, trauma-informed services that meet the needs of aging trauma survivors, including veterans and Holocaust survivors. It also clarifies that religious, cultural, or ethnic requirements fall within the cultural considerations and preferences that we encourage senior meal programs to accommodate. Finally, the ANS includes support for older people with disabilities within evidence-based programs for home assessments, modifications, and fall prevention. As we mark up this bill today, I'm thinking of my mother, a 91-year-old two-time cancer survivor who also has Alzheimer's, and the importance of and challenges with meeting her specific and changing needs as she ages. Far too many older Americans don't have the same level of support and access to services that my mom has. There is a vast unmet need in our communities, in Oregon and across the United States. This leaves seniors without the care they need and deserve, care that allows them to age with dignity. I'm sure every person in this room has a friend or family member who can benefit from the life-saving programs bolstered by this legislation. I urge all of us to keep them in mind as we work through this markup. We have a moral obligation to take care of those who cared for us, and this is an opportunity to help fulfill that commitment. Crafting the Dignity in Aging Act required careful negotiations and tough decisions. It's always difficult to leave priorities and some desired outcomes on the table, but I want to thank Chairman Scott, Ranking Member Fox, and Ranking Member Comer, as well as all of the staff again, for working in good faith over many months to find a strong bipartisan compromise that we can all be proud of. This bill contains many provisions that will greatly strengthen the programs and services in the Older Americans Act. I am confident that we can move this legislation through both chambers and have it signed into law, giving more seniors the care and services they need. The Dignity in Aging Act will significantly increase funding for popular programs that many Americans rely on, such as Meals on Wheels. It extends the Raise Family Caregivers Act, which helps develop a national strategy to recognize and support family caregivers. This legislation increases the focus on the negative health outcomes associated with social isolation. It strengthens services available to Native Americans, and it promotes the ability of older individuals to age in the homes and communities they love. The list goes on. We worked closely with many national advocacy groups and stakeholder organizations to make sure our constituents who rely on these services will be well served under this reauthorization. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record letters of support and endorsement from the following: Meals on Wheels, the Leadership Council of Aging Organizations, the National Association of Area Agencies on Aging, the National Association of Nutrition and Aging Services Programs, the National Council on Aging, AARP, Grantmakers in the Arts, the Jewish Federations of North America, Gerontological Society of America, the Women's Institute for a Secure Retirement, the Alzheimer's Impact Movement. And I think there may be more letters coming. Lastly, we should remember—
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even when this bill becomes law, our work will not be done. There is much more that we can and must do to fully meet the needs of all seniors and support often marginalized populations, such as LGBT seniors, who are more likely to face barriers to service, less likely to have supportive families, and are truly of the greatest need. We made some meaningful progress on this issue by lifting up the great work being done by SAGE, the National Resource Center on LGBT Aging, but we did not get as far this time as we would have liked or that we know is necessary. This legislation is a strong starting point, and I look forward to working together to continue to build on the successes achieved in this bill until no one remains underserved and no senior is invisible. I urge all of my colleagues to support both this ANS and the underlying bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.